Well, season 5 is underway here in St. Etienne, and it has gotten off to a pretty decent start. And I think we also had a pretty decent transfer window too, but there's probably a lot of confirmation bias at play there. At the end of last season, before this current transfer window started, we brought in Faustino and Jorrent from Chelsea for 13 million. He is an attacking mid who I've got playing midfield on the left. He can also play mid. He is a very good young midfielder. There's no real weaknesses in his game. I like the 16 balance. His 9 anticipation is a little bit on the low side, but as this is marking and his tackling. But again, against midfielder, he's a very good inverted winger. His final third is good. His shooting is good. His positioning and decision making is nice. Well, other than the 7, I missed that earlier. But that's a little bit on the low side, but I'm okay with it. His ball control skills are nice. His movement's good. His passing is very good. He's got decent jumping reach and strength. He's got good acceleration and pace. He's got decent endurance. 16 balance, 12 agility, 14 technique, 13 first touch. As you can see in 3 appearances for the club already, he has 2 goals. He has been a very good pickup for us. This season, release players-wise, Samir Memisevic, Gerald Sharoui, Jules Morton, Mehdi Tanish, and Kylian Jusserand-Venier all left. The only loss, per se, will be Memisevic, but he's 32 years old now. 33, and he was clearly on the decline. He's good, but he's just not good enough to be a full-time starter, and that's what he wanted here. He's over at Metz now, down in League 2, where he'll probably finish out his career. That's not a bad thing. He did really good for us. On the free transfers, Ayub Shihab, Albion Jatishi, and Bashiru Nidire all left. Jatishi is probably the most interesting one out of the lot. He is a defensive mid, defensive center back, can also play wing back. He's good, but not great. He was never going to be a first-team player for us. He has some very nice attributes. His endurance skills are nice. His quickness skills are nice. He's got good agility, 14 first touch, 11 technique, 15 decision-making. His positioning is also very good. His passing is very good. He would be, I think, a very good defensive midfielder in the halfback role. The things that count against him, at least for me, especially in the formation we play, his crossing is nowhere near what it needs to be. His dribbling is suboptimal. His off the ball is suboptimal. His focus is suboptimal. And frankly, his finishing is a little bit suboptimal too. Everything else is good. And in some cases, better than good. But I don't think it's first league good. He's in Paris FC now. They're currently in League 1, but they're at the bottom of the table at the moment. And he's coming off the bench for them. On the ins, for us, Giorgio Alter comes to us from... Where did he come to us from? Accialaspor, originally in the Milan youth system, had some loan spells, then ended up in Turkey. A bit older player, but again, he's one of those lunch pail guys that I always talk about. He's good, he knows what his job is, he's here to do it and do it well. And if he does anything beyond that, then frankly, you're okay. He's not a huge fan of important matches. That's about the only knock I have against him. His leadership skills are great. He has good strength and jumping reach. He's decent acceleration and pace, good endurance, nice stamina, nice work rate, okay agility and balance, good composure, decision making, good bravery and heading, nice marking, good tackling, good focus, good positioning. I can stick him in at defensive center back. He's going to do a really nice job for us, and so far he has. Juan Forza comes to us from Man City. He was at Newell's, and then Man City bought him, and he just never panned out. He had a loan at Troyes last season where he got 28 games in and was okay. I brought him in to play midfielder. He's also a very good attacking mid on the right. He can fill in at striker. He can also fill in defensive mid if I need him to. 24 years old. He's probably not going to get a lot better than he is now, but where he is now is actually fairly decent. 12 strength, 13 acceleration, 14 pace, 13 fitness, 13 stamina, 13 work rate, 13 agility, 14 balance, 12 dribbling, 15 first touch, 15 technique, 15 flair, 11 bravery, 14 decision making, 13 positioning, 16 passing, 16 vision. He's got midfielder, deep line playmaker written all over him, although really we should be training him as a center mid. Needed some quality depth, and he has come in to provide that, although he's actually started for us. I've got to figure out a rotation in the midfield. Lucien Zanga comes to us from Brasieres. Advanced midfielder on the left. 18 years old. He's here because he has 4.5-star potential. As you can see, the 20 determination is nice. He's quick. He's pacey. He's got good agility. His ball control skills are a little bit above average. His off the ball is great. His passing is great. He's got good flair, good technique, good bravery. I'm 2, 3, 4 years from now, if I was playing this out beyond year 7, probably 3, 4 years from now, I would be looking at him to be our advanced midfielder on the left. He's got the potential for it. And for a kid on a free, I think that's really hard to pass up. Loan deals. We didn't loan anybody in. Everybody wanted outrageous fees again, at least all the players I was looking for. I'm looking for loan players who can contribute right away. And, of course, those loan players are from the big clubs who know they're going to be good, and they want money for them, like $150,000, like 150,000 euros a month if they play, 350,000 if they don't play, 100% of their salary, and oh yeah, here's a 55 million optional transfer fee. But George Georgi, Anton Lashad, Nwota Poisset, Theria Samba, Kevin Pedro, Camilo Domenic, Manuel Simongo, Ollie Jeffrey, Chung Jo-Wan, and Linus Becker all went out on loan. The ones I am really kind of interested in are Theory Asamba, to see how well he does. So far, he's coming off the bench. I'm not too happy with that, but at least he's getting some sort of game time. George Georgi, who I believe just went out injured. And then Ollie Jeffrey, who is my wingback. I'm looking to get him some starts. And the cash and clause transfers, we were really busy, although a lot of that was on the outs. And the vast majority of that was Makar Gueye, who went to Norwich. And then Toma Basic went to Norwich. Norwich, they're in the Premier League, and they're spending money like they have Premier League money. They came after Makar Gueye. He really wanted to go. I couldn't stop him. He came after Toma Basic. He really wanted to go. I couldn't stop him. And frankly, I wasn't really interested in keeping him here. Alex Tabiti went to Valencia for $2.3 million. Haskadunic went to Al Ittihad for $6.75. Dimitrios Liminos, Al Grahafra made an offer for him, and he jumped all over it. I'm not quite sure why. Nduka Jr. didn't want to sign a contract, and Club Brugge made an offer for him, so I let him go. Marcelo Wiegand went to Salernitana for $3.2 million. They made an offer for him. He absolutely jumped all over it. Rapid Vienna picked up Daniel Bachmann, and on the last day of the transfer window, Hulabong Mendez went to Marseille for $6.75 million. The only one I'm probably a little bit upset about is Junior, because he was a quality defensive center back for us. Wiegand was very good for us at wingback on the right. It's getting a little bit up there in years, but I was really looking forward to him contributing this season, and I had Mendez there backing him up, and of course they both left, so now I'm a little bit thin. On the ends, Takuru Inamori from FC Hiroshima. He popped up when I signed a Japanese scout. I said, hey, can you recommend anybody? And he said, oh, take a look at Takuro Inamori, who is a wingback on the left. The kid is a 4-star rated wingback already, and I got him for $2.3 million. He is absolutely fabulous. He's already got 2 assists for us. I mean, when a 6-corner, 3 free kick, and 4 penalty, the 5 brave is a little bit on the low side. I can train him in heading. Wait a minute, it used to be heading. There we go. To kind of get that up, but everything else about him is really, really good. The 18 determination, nice. He's quick, he's pacey, he's got good fitness, decent stamina, work rate, good agility and balance, okay dribbler, okay first touch. The 6 corners, that's a little bit of a bummer too. The 2 assists actually came from kind of close range in, but he makes up for that with the decision making, the technique, the tackling, the positioning. I mean, he's literally 4-star potential. He's literally a 4-star player. He is a very good wingback. I got him in as wingback on support, and he is doing a very good job for us, and we have him locked up for the next 5 years. And I know if any team comes after him, I am going to get a lot more than $2.4 million for him. I mean, right now, he is valued at 48 million euros for crying out loud. Ezequiel Padilla. With Gueye leaving, I needed some help up top. I went looking around. Amadori is still doing a job for us, but he can improve, and I was looking for somebody where the drop-off wasn't so great. Ezequiel Padilla comes to us from Racing Club for $8.25 million, and I really like him. He is pretty solid across the board for a striker. 13 determination, 11 teamwork, 13 acceleration and pace, 16 fitness and stamina. The work rate is 7 is a little bit on the low side, and he has a little bit of an injury history, but I'm not too worried about that. Having looked at his injuries, it was like, a broken ankle. And then all the other stuff was like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks sort of thing. I mean, a broken ankle, can you really help that? I don't think so. 17 balance, 15 agility, 7 technique, 16 first touch, 16 dribbling, 20 flair, 13 decision making, 13 composure, 17 technique. Decent long shots, okay at finishing. The positioning could come up. He's an absolutely fabulous trequartista, but I'm not playing him as a trequartista. I am playing him as a deep-lying forward. and he's doing a really good job for us. As you can see, he's started every game for us. He doesn't have any goals. He had a howler of a mistake a couple of games ago and just hasn't really recovered from it, which is why he's at a 6-6. But I fully expect him to come on and do a very good job for us. Lucas Goldbar comes to us from Leeds with Bachman leaving. I needed a backup keeper, and he was the best one available. Now, if I was to compare him and Akubi, he is probably a little bit better. The comparison screens got changed. But he's not a huge fan of big matches where Akubi is injury prone. The other thing, well, you know what? Can we look at this here? We go here, we go here, we go here. No, I'm going to take a screenshot of this so I can at least compare the two. Goldbauer has a better aerial reach. Akubi has a better command of area. Goldbauer is a better communicator. He has better first touch. Handling, kicking, one-on-ones, they're both equal. Goldbauer is a slightly better passer. Akubi doesn't punch nearly as often as Goldbauer does, but he has better reflexes, better rushing out, and doesn't throw it as well. Mentally, Goldbauer is better. Better bravery, better composure, better decision-making, determination. They're both... Nope, Akubi's better. Positioning, Goldbauer's an 18. His work rate's higher. Physically, Goldbauer's better, but he's also... 7 years older, 6 years older. So, but if something should happen to Akubi, I have no problem starting Goldbauer. As a matter of fact, if I didn't have Akubi, I would have no problem starting Goldbauer the entire season. He's that good a keeper. He's got to be... Well, he's coming from Leeds. He's had a very good career. Leeds found better keepers. He had a solid season at Wolfsburger. He had a solid career at Wolfsburger. He got some starts at SV Reed. He's one of those guys who's always been good, but not good enough. But on our squad, he would be good enough if I had to start him an extended amount of games. And then last but not least, Valgeir Fredriksson from FC Copenhagen. He is from Iceland. The last name didn't give it away. He can play wing back on both the left and the right. That's the primary reason I picked him up. He is pretty darn good. I like the 16 jumping reach. He's got 14 positioning and marking. 7 bravery is a bit of a bummer. The 3 finishing I'm not too worried about because he's a wing back. But he's a decent crosser, decent dribbler, decent first touch, decent technique. He's got better than average fitness. His acceleration is nice. His passing skills are nice. His positioning skills are nice. His tackling skills aren't bad either. So he's a little bit iffy in the air, which for a guy who's 6'3" is not exactly concerning, but I'm not too worried about it. But he is here on a squad player contract. He is depth on both the left and the right, and I'm looking forward to him doing a very good job for us. The season got off to a really nice start. I'm quite happy with how it got started, and you would be too if you beat PSG 3-1. But it's not the PSG that we know. We got it off to a good start by beating Reims 2-0 and Jordan a goal, Van Hoytsten a goal. We played PSG next. We absolutely thumped them 3-1. Police a goal, Agudelo a goal, Amuzu a goal. Messi's retired. He's now trying to be a head coach, but he has really, really bad attributes there. They have Neymar, but he's 35. Believe Mbappe has left. No, Mbappe's still there, but they had a bad game. They got Gio Reyna, Martin Odegaard, but Reyna had a bad game. They got Vitinha, who's nice. Hakimi's nice. Mendes is nice. Donnarumma's still in goal. They played a really bad game, and they're getting older. And this is what happens with PSG whenever you start playing the game, especially when you're playing in League One. We'll go off a bit of a version here. So if we go and we look at the transfer history, they're always buying players and they're always moving players out. Like they moved Schick out for 70 million. Soler went for 27.5. We go to the year before, they only moved a couple of players, but they didn't bring any in. I think this was this year. They brought in Viper, but they let him go. They brought in Heung-min Son on a free from Tottenham. He is nowhere near the player he used to be. He's 34 years old, and he's good, but he's clearly on the downside of his career. But they sold 105. Schick went to 70, Soler went out. Okay, I looked at that. That was the wrong one. Here we have Heung-min Son. There they didn't sell a lot of players. Here they brought in 257 million. Yoda, Viper, who they moved for the same amount of money. Asensio, Giovanni Reyna, they brought in for 105. Over here, it was Pulisic leaving. It was Hidalgo leaving. Glenn left. Andres Christensen left for 53 million. they get into this rotation where they're bringing in a bunch of players. Like they brought in Pulisic for 32 million here, but then they turn around and they sell him for 56 million here. They bring in Nelson Viper, they loan him out, and then they move him the next year. They brought in Patrick Schick for 68 million. 3 years later, they're moving him for 70. Now that, admittedly, at least transfer money wise, is a net gain. But when you look at how much it costs them to pay Schick to play, then it's probably a net loss. Carmo, they paid 23 million for. Asensio, they paid 51 million for. Then they turned around and let Asensio go, didn't they? Maybe not yet. But they get into this. They get into this rotation where they buy a lot of players and they sell a lot of players, and it's willy-nilly, for lack of a better word, as my camera is going in and out because I'm screwing up its focus by trying to get it to look at my hands. And they get to the point where they start making mistakes and they don't bring in enough young players. Now, admittedly, if we were to look at some of the young players, they certainly do have some with some potential, it looks like. I mean, Fayet's got a 13-20 determination. I mean, I could spend some time scouting them. And we know PSG has a fairly good youth program as well. But I mean, you're looking, the average age of their players has got to be in the upper 20s. And they're not bringing in youth players to replace them. We brought in a 28-year-old left back for 60 million. We're going to sell him 2 years from now for 80 million, and we're going to replace him with a 28-year-old left back we paid 45 million for. That's about the only way you can beat PSG. It's going to be long term, 7 to 10 years in game time. Maybe a little bit earlier if they make some mistakes on players. They're selling off their younger players, they're bringing in older players, and they're replacing them with older players, which frankly they can get away with for a little while because they're PSG. They have the money for it. They have the rep for it. You know, they're still getting Champions League football. You know, and if we take a look at how they've done there. Last year, they got to the round of 16. Year before that, the quarterfinal. Year before that, they lost in the final to Man City. Year before that, round of semifinals, they lost to Liverpool. You know, so they've also had European football every year. So, you know, a lot of players are going to go there for that. And the money, the payroll is absolutely phenomenal. You know, if League One ever instituted like a La Liga rule where your payroll can only be 70% of your profits, the PSG would be screwed. Today, we're going to take on Lorient. The transfer window just closed. We've talked a lot. We're just going to do the one live comm. It's early in the season. We've only really played 4 games. So, you know, right now, oh, hey, we're in 9th place, but Lille's in first with 11. And we've got a game in hand. So, and Lorient is down at the bottom. They've started the season off not too well. So I'm liking our chances. So this is who we're good. No, we don't want Goldbauer. I can tell my assistant thinks Goldbauer is the better. Well, I can tell my assistant knows that Goldbauer, at least on a numbers basis, is better than Akubi because he's trying to start him. Spores is out. He picked up a slight knock. So this is who we're going to start today. We're going to have Akubi in goal, Van Hoytsten and Alter as the defensive backs, Inamori and Tome as the wing backs, Demir as the defensive mid behind Adre and Agudelo, and Jordan and Pellistri as the attacking mids, Padilla up top as the striker. The one thing I forgot was that League One has a foreign player limit. You can only have 4 foreign players in your team. We are playing at Lorient. Corner kick. Lafie sends it in. Knocked away by Demir. Comey can't get to it before Nagoy does. He sends it back to Diaz. Nagoy. Over to Patras. Oh! Who dropped the ball there? That is halftime. The one lone highlight. The corner kick that they recovered and got the goal on. That is mildly annoying. Move the team to attacking. It's helped in terms of the number of shots and whatnot, but we just have not had any highlights since that first one. We're 60 minutes in. We're going to bring on Amadori for Padilla. Tome off. Bring on Friedrichsen. Do I really not have... No, I don't have a defensive center back on the... We're going to bring on a Muzu for Palistri. Lafi. Revic scores on the header. What the hell, guys? Lafi. He skirts it just right. Inamori. Van Hoytston. Demir. Back to Van Hoytston. Up to Inamori. Amadori. Over Altair. One touches it up to Lundahl. Gives the ball away because Amuzu misplayed it. Amuzu. Diaz ends up with the ball. Nagoy. Diaz. Back to Majecki. Lundahl heads it down. Amuzu gives the ball. No, and Jordan got it. And he scores. That was nice. We got one back. A good move by Anjorin. Looked for a minute there like he was trying to do too much. Kickoff highlight. This does not bode well. Leibold back to Nagoy. Diaz. Oh, gives the ball away. Inamori. Demir. Amadori. Andre lofts it up. Agadello. Rounds the keeper. Oh, Bastos, a nice save. I don't know that was going in, but Bastos saves it, loses the ball, and Jordan gets it back, and the highlight ends. Are you freaking kidding me? And a bad defensive play and a set-piece goal sees us lose 2-1. Not happy with that. Although it is early doors. I gotta set up my training for the rest of the week, too. Too many missed chances. Too many missed chances. Breeze through the press conference here. The other thing I did was I went through our affiliated clubs. I got all the ones that were the lower league ones where we would just have like first choice on their players. I set up US first so we can send players to them. Lapoy Foot was already there. Le Mans was already there as well. No, Le Mans we picked up this season because they're semi-professional, but they have fairly decent facilities. Yes, we're paying 51,000 euros a year for them. I'm okay with that. In the grand scheme of things, that is a nominal fee, especially when we have 55 million euros in the bank. We got a 41 million euro transfer budget, which I can have some wiggle room with because I've got 9 million euros worth of payroll. Scouting budget I need to boost up. I know that. Firm, got plenty of money for that. Border quest, where I'm at facilities. I want to improve the youth facilities. Round, nope, we're okay. Networking. I want to improve the youth recruitment. I want to see if I can't get a couple more coaches. So the other thing I did was, as I mentioned earlier, which found me in Amore. Just go here. So I brought in a couple new scouts. Kitimura comes to us. He is Japanese. His primary area is Japan and Korea, but he also knows Brazil and England. But he is currently in Thailand, Indonesia, and South Korea for us. And then we brought in, who did we bring in? We brought in Mark Andreessen, who is Scandinavia. He is scouting up there for us. So we are probably going to come back for Lyon and Toulouse. And that's what we're going to do. So this season, European football or bust. I say the bust kind of half jokingly, but the goal of this Return to Glory save is to get St. Etienne back to playing European football on a somewhat regular basis. And, you know, believe me, years 6 and 7 wouldn't count as regular basis. 5, 6, and 7 would, in my opinion. So, and I'd like us to go as far as we can in those. I would love to be playing Champions League football in year 7. If that means we got to go to the conference this year, Europa League next year, and Champions League in year 7, I am all for that as long as we're progressing forward. So I'm really liking this season's chances. I'm liking the players we brought in. I'm happy for the most part with our depth. The one thing I am somewhat worried about is who we have at defensive back. It's telling me I don't have a lot. Short list. Nope. Oh, no. No. Mississauga Borders. Oh, I may have to play the Joker window yet again. My own fault. It's got to be at least one position or another. You know what, Sissoko, we are just going to let you go because you are not good enough for a contract here. May also be worth training Carbonic as a defensive center back. Maybe Bertrand as well. Look at Bertrand. He is 5'9". He is not a defensive center back. He is definitely Carbonic is 5'8", also not a defensive center back. My other option would be Valgeir Friedrichsen, who I just brought in. He is 6'3". I would play him at defensive center back in a pinch. And you know what? That is what we are going to do. We are going to train him at defensive center back. There. His additional focus is going to be his aerial. And then I'm going to get him games as a defensive center back, and he's going to be part of the right wing back formation as well. Save this, because if I don't, I'm going to forget to. We're going to call this an episode. I'd be interested in your feedback on the transfer window. Do you think we've made progress there? Did we replace the players we lost? Other than me screwing up on the defensive center backs, did you see any holes? Leave your feedback down below. If you did like what you've seen and heard, also please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, questions, criticisms, comments. Leave those down below. I'll answer them as fast as I can. My name is FM23. I thank you very much for watching.